This video is protected by fair use. It's not for profit. It's for the purposes of criticism, commentary, and teaching. Thank you.
Today's guest is Reverend David McGinley. Reverend McGinley is an ordained minister with the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Canada. He's a 4-time cancer survivor and a near-death experiencer. He is the author of the book Beyond Surviving Cancer and Your Spiritual Journey, and he was featured in the documentaries Here Right Now and When You Die. David, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you giving me some of your time today.
Well, it's cool to be with you, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. My audience loves to hear about near-death experience stories, so could we please start at the beginning of yours and how it happened?
Sure. Let's dive in. So, yeah, as you say, I've had cancer 4 times, and not the kind of...
Yeah, I have to jump in here just for a moment. He's Canadian, like I am, so he's a fellow Canuck, or Canucker, as I sometimes call them. Somebody said to me recently on YouTube, or said about me, actually, not to me. It was on a Shield channel. I read a comment, somebody talking about the Sanity Machine, saying that I prove that not all Canadians are nice. Not all Canadians. I mean, there are a lot of, well, not a lot, but there are assholes. I mean, not every Canadian's, quote, nice. That's the stereotype that they want to project out onto the world. But if you lived here, you'd see what I mean. Some places are worse than others. Some places are better than others. It's just the way that it works. Depends on where you live, your city, your neighborhood, whether you're... You know what? There's a lot of working class people that can be cool, but there are some assholes too in working class neighborhoods. But I tend to relate to a lot of down-to-earth people, to be honest. I tend to relate to people that don't like and don't trust and don't support the government, stuff like that, at a minimum. That's at a minimum. But anyway, this guy does seem like a friendly guy. Seems like a fairly decent guy. Do I think that he's brainwashed? Well, as soon as I hear Reverend and Lutheran Church and stuff like that, then yeah, it's nothing personal against him. I wish him well. I hope he breaks free from that cult, and that's what it is. So that's not me being mean. That's just me speaking the truth about something. As I've used as an analogy before, it's akin to me calling poison. If you get a bottle of something out from under my sink and it has a warning label on it and it's a cleaning product and it's chemicals and it has skull and crossbones and stuff like that on it, I don't even check those warning labels anymore, to be honest, but I remember looking at them when I was younger, and I remember asking my mom what they all meant and stuff like that. Curious kid, curious child. I shouldn't use the word kid because of the connection to goats, pet goats, kids of goats, Baphomet, all that stuff. I do think that's programming, and they have us hearing it and saying it so many times for decades that it becomes such an ingrained habit. But anyway, I would call poison poison. If you took something out from underneath my sink and said, hey, is this milk, or is this juice, or is this cola? I'd say, no, it's poison. I wouldn't hesitate to tell you the truth. So what I'm getting at here is I've tried to become that way as much as I can with the truth. And it's not to hurt your feelings. It's not to be mean. It's not me pointing the finger at somebody saying, ha ha, they're brainwashed, or something like that. I'm trying to pull people out of cults. Whether you believe it or not, there's people that doubt me, but there are people right on my channel that have come out of cults. And they're here now. And they're waking up. So it is working. Whether it's on Catholics, Protestants, Jehovah's Witnesses, or former Jehovah's Witnesses, former Mormons, former Scientologists, all sorts. You're all welcome here. I want to help people break free and break out of cults. This is something the demons mock me for too. Oh, he's just pretending to be so nice and to try to help people out of cults. I literally, for many years, long before I had a YouTube channel, decades ago, I would almost be in tears watching certain things on TV, documentaries of people trapped in cults and brainwashed, especially the younger ones, which would always get to me. All over the world, there's cults all over, big and small, from here to Australia, from Canada all the way to Australia. From Canada, from Canada, eh? All the way down to Australia. Crikey. There's cults, big and small. There's cults with dozens of people, hundreds. There's cults with thousands. There's cults with millions. There's cults with over 1 billion. The number of followers doesn't determine if something is legit or not. It doesn't work that way. They all begin small, but if they're allowed to flourish and the government support them and the rulers prop them up and say, hey, we can use this. We can definitely use this. We're going to approve of Christianity. That's how it works. So anyway, I didn't want to rant that long. I did end up talking for quite a while about that. I just wanted to emphasize nothing personal against this guy, David, this Reverend David. I don't like to say Reverend, but I mean, the title's right in, his religious title is right in the title of this video. I don't know what happened to Jeff Mara, and his intro is gone, with that guy introducing him and stuff. That's all changed, but I haven't been on here for a little while now. I just want to mention right now, I did invite Jeff Mara to explain himself for certain things on my channel. He never did. He never took the opportunity to say anything in comments. His channel was tagged in videos before this one, weeks ago, multiple times. And then I had posted comments saying, hey, Jeff, why don't you explain yourself in the comments, or feel free to talk to me man to man, or this and that. No comment from him at all. I never attacked him. I never name call. I was just trying to say, hey, you're open to come here and respond to this. No response. I wanted to put that out there. That's for you to think about. I'm not going to tell you what to think of that. You can think whatever you want, but he was invited to my channel to say in the comments on videos. He never said anything. And he did ban me from his channel. That's what I'm getting at, okay? He banned the Sanity Machine quite a while ago from his channel. So I can't comment on his videos as the Sanity Machine.
Cancer that spreads out and can compromises your body's functions and systems. Mine.
I went on such a rant there. Sorry to break in so quickly, but I do feel sorry for him having cancer and going through all this. And I feel especially sorry for him and others that get cancer and then they stay religious and they're still praising the quote God or the creator that invented this shit, that infects and destroys bodies, makes you sick, makes you seek treatments that make you sicker, okay, for the most part. The treatments for most people, maybe not all, maybe some have had excellent results with certain things, and they're an anomaly. And then, I hate to say it, but a lot of people get hung up on these outliers, these anomalies, these exceptions. Exceptions don't disprove the rule. Exceptions only prove the rule. You see what I'm saying? Just like with veganism, there's some people that will say, well, look at this one woman. She looks pretty good. She's been a vegan for 30 or 40 years. That's fantastic. But that's not the rule. That's the exception to the rule. There's certain people within 2, 3, 4, 5 years, their teeth are falling out from veganism. Their body can't handle that diet. No matter what type of veganism they practice, no matter what their diet, no matter what they try, it doesn't work for them. I know that's hard for some people to comprehend, but I really want you to get that not everything works for everyone. Our bodies are different. There's people that can take chemo and radiation, and within a few treatments, and I'm not recommending that shit at all. There's as far as I'm concerned, there are natural, quote cures for that. Okay, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice, and obviously I can't do that on here, or YouTube will get rid of my channel. I'm not going to do that. I'm not trying to do that, but I'm just saying you can look into alternatives. All right. But what I'm also saying is there are exceptions where, and that's why it fools people, because they can point to those cases saying, look, he was cured. Just like with my mom, she had a cousin of hers. I'm trying to remember if it was her first cousin. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was one of my mom's first cousins that was, quote, cured from cancer, from chemo. And it worked on him. He went into remission 10, 15 years later, 20 years later, whatever. He was fine. Okay? That's great. But that might be 1 in a million. But it works that everybody looks like not everybody, but a lot of people in the family would point to that and say, well, it works because of him, you know. Whether his name could be John, let's say. It worked because, look, it cured John. It's not his name, but it worked because it cured John. You get what I'm saying? So it works, so I'm going to do that. When they get diagnosed, they'll say, well, it worked for one of my family members. See, that's the problem. That's emotional thinking. That's looking at the exceptions. Okay? If they read the studies and you say, oh, shit, look at the pathetic, paltry cure rates for some of these cancers. It's like a 94% death rate. And then there's cases like my grandma. She had breast cancer she was diagnosed with later in life. She must have been over 70 at that point. She lived to be about 96. She didn't treat it. She didn't go to doctors. She just said, I'm not doing anything. It didn't kill her. The cancer didn't kill her. Now, if she had taken treatment, she might have been dead in 2 or 3 years, or even 6 months if it was aggressive, quote, treatment. That's what happens to a lot of women with breast cancer. The treatment shortens their life. The treatment makes them sick. They don't feel sick. They start getting the treatment. They lose their hair. They lose weight, tremendous amount of weight. They lose strength. They lose appetite. They get nauseous. They can't stand the smell of food to be cooking around them. All sorts of things. The treatment. So anyway, I just had to mention that because, yes, I am aware of the whole scam of this kind of thing. But it's sad that there are religious people. This is why I wanted to do this particular NDE, by the way. Because this guy's been diagnosed that many times with cancer, 3 times, gone through all this, still religious, still believes in a creator, and talks about, you know, how this cancer does, it's like a ticking time bomb, it does all this stuff. Well, who created it? And it's not me being mean, I'm really asking a valid question here. Who created that? Not only cancer, but that type that you had, or still have, you know, could come back, I guess, at any time. Who created that? Who thought that up? That's something that even the nicest, quote, nicest people in the world, they don't want to face the truth. And that's where they get wrong. They think, well, you're mean because you're asking questions. You sound harsh. I don't like the creator that created this suffering. That's why I sound this way. Nothing against this man. Seems like a gentle man, good guy. He seems to be kind. I don't know him personally. I'm not, quote, vouching for him. Personally, I know nothing about him other than the minutes that I've watched of this video. I watched 8 or 10 minutes before I decided, hey, I'm going to cover this. And I set it aside and I decided to record this now. I had some other stuff to do, some things to work on, and yeah. So I decided to do this, and it's for a reason. I want people that are religious to ask these questions. What are you believing in? Why are you believing in that? Look at the cruelty and the sickness. A quote God that would create just your type of cancer would have to be deranged and demented and sadistic. But to have created the 10,000 plus diseases, you start looking into them. What's happening to people in this realm? Some of their their bodies are turning into stone. There's a disease that's very rare. There's all sorts of weird things here. Not just weird, but weird and cruel. And they cause massive suffering that's really hard to look at and hear them speak about. It's not easy. It's difficult, okay? It's difficult. It's difficult to delve into this research and do it day after day after day and just keep doing it. It takes a toll. It takes a psychic toll, an emotional toll, and a spiritual toll. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to face the suffering of this realm and go a step beyond facing the suffering and say, well, who's responsible? What monster created this? That's why I don't call it a quote God. It would have to be a fucking monster. Okay? I know the image that people have in their minds of this loving God that looks beautiful and or handsome or is glorious and magnificent and just heavenly and fatherly and benevolent and peaceful and and calm and all this stuff. But what if all that's a facade, just an illusion? What if it's a shapeshifter? What if it showed you and it's just uglier than any monster you've seen, like in an Aliens movie with, just gross. Would you still worship it and call it loving? What if it really sunk in deeply and it hit you? Holy shit, it really did make a world of suffering by design. Then maybe you would switch on a dime how you feel about this place and how you feel about the creator of this place. It's a torture chamber. It doesn't add up. You have cognitive dissonance big time. I'm not saying this to be mean or to be hurtful or to be insulting. You truly do, though. If you have Stockholm Syndrome, if somebody was harming you, doing tremendous harm, and you could see it, rather than the way this cowardly, quote, God/monster does things, hides what it's doing, pretends that it's not bad, okay? If something was harming you directly and you could see it, and then you kept telling everybody how good it is, well, people right away would say, man, they have Stockholm Syndrome. They've been abused so badly. The narcissist has been abusing them so badly that they're saying it's loving this creature that's harming them. But it's a creature. It's a sadistic creature. It's an abuser. That's what your quote God is, except you can't see that that's what it is. See what I'm saying? It made the diseases. It made what the cancer, the rare type of cancer this man had. All right? It made things that you see, the children with no legs, the ones in wheelchairs and stuff like that. It did that. Okay? That's what I'm saying. So when people are confused or say, hey, Sanity Machine, why do you view it as a monster? Because I'm looking at this realm truly and not only not looking with rose-colored glasses or a blindfold on, but I'm not under mind control of saying it's all good because God is good. I'm not religious. I'm not in a cult. I'm so far away from that. I quit Catholicism in elementary school. And I chose to go to a public high school rather than a Catholic, which is what my family wanted. They wanted me to go to a Catholic school, of course, right? So I was already developing my strength and my independence and my independent spirit and being more of a free spirit and showing it. I always was a free spirit, but showing it in my choices. Like, I don't want to go to that school. I don't want to wear a uniform. I don't want to study religion. I don't want to be I don't want to go to church. I don't want to go to mass. I don't want to be part of Catholicism. So when people say, well, hey, you're just bashing cults, I was born into a cult. I'm freely admitting that right now. I had no choice. As a baby, I didn't have a choice and say, before I could speak words, oh, I want to be baptized. It didn't work that way. They baptized me. They did that to me. I didn't choose that. So, and that's also goes into the territory of people that say, well, this world's all about consent and free will, and we have free will. Well, did I choose to be baptized? And then they just switch it. Well, your parents consented for you. Well, they're not me. I didn't even consent to be born. I know this sounds weird to some people that aren't there yet, but please try to be open-minded. You might get there in a week, a month, a year. You never know. I don't know how long it'll take for certain people or how quickly they will catch on to this, but did you consent to be born? It's not being a crybaby. It's not being a liberal. It's not being a woke person to say that. It isn't that whatsoever. Politically, I'm so far away from that you wouldn't believe it. So far away from the safe space crowd. I'm talking about reality here. In reality, is it true? Did you consent or not consent to be born? Or if you were baptized, if you were raised Christian or Catholic, whatever type of Christian, there's hundreds of types, but it's all under the same umbrella. Did you choose that? Did you consent as a little baby if it didn't happen later on in life? If you were a little newborn, you're a month old, let's say, did you consent? Because I sure as hell didn't. You're a boy and you're an American or a Canadian, there's a huge chance that if you were born in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, that you were circumcised. Did you consent to that torture? That's what it is. It's an amputation, it's torture, it's one of the most painful procedures, quote procedures, that any male will go through. I don't think you consented if that happened to you as a baby. There's lots of things. Child abuse, did you consent? No. Okay? So there's pushers in this quote community on YouTube, in the quote soul trap community, saying, well, this realm's about consent. What realm are they looking at? Either they're completely delusional and brainwashed, or, deranged, mentally deranged, or they're complete frauds, liars, gatekeepers, deceivers, shills, all the things that I've been saying. There's thousands of things in this life, thousands of things that you don't consent to that matter. We don't have just free will in this realm. This place doesn't just operate by consent. Evil doesn't come up to you saying, I can't harm you unless you consent. I don't know where these people come from or where they get that from. But anyway, we do more here than just analyze NDEs. Okay? That's another thing that some new people have trouble with. Well, why don't you just play the video? You can go over to the Jeff Mara podcast channel. See this? See this creature in glasses there? You can go over there. Oh, so this is older. This popped up 2 years ago. This popped up as a recommendation. I thought it was new, or I thought it might be new, but it's not new at all. So that's why he doesn't have the intro, and that's why Jeff is different in this one than he is recently. It's like a totally different creature these days. But anyway, I'm going to play more of this, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's over an hour. But
is called paranganglioma. It's also known as pheochromocytoma. So imagine a time bomb sitting inside of you, and this tumor is making a Molotov cocktail of chemicals like dopamine and norepinephrine. And when your adrenal gland activates for any reason, right, for joy or excitement or exercise or fear and anxiety, that's a fuse, and it causes the tumor to blow. So most people die from paranganglioma in under a minute.
Wow.
It causes the blood pressure to skyrocket massively. Your blood vessels burst. You have a heart attack. It just totally overloads your circulatory system. So you don't waste away with this kind of cancer, but you do have smaller explosions until before the big one. And for a long time, I've had the small ones that just give you what feels like a panic attack, cramps in the stomach, sweating, heart palpitations. It feels just lousy. And I passed out many times from this, having what's called a vasovagal reaction. So I've had this 4 times since I was 17. When I was 27, it was my second tumor, and it was on the femoral artery. So when it blew, the metabolites rapidly went into my system and were circulating through me in a matter of less than 2 seconds. I was actually doing a church service.
Okay, I have to pause here. It sounds horrible. He's kind of smiling, big smile and laughing about he doesn't get it, but in a sense he's seems like he's and this is my analysis, okay? So people please don't get upset. I'm going to give my honest analysis. He's kind of thinking, "Wow, I'm doing a church service and this is happening to me." I'm not saying he's blaming God, but you get what I'm saying? Who designed what's happening to him? That time bomb, that ticking time bomb. Can you imagine thinking something like that up, inventing that to happen to people? Just think of that. Think of that when you want to think about the Creator, the great God. God is good and God is great. Don't cherry pick. God created what this man has suffered. That's his design. That's your, quote, God's design. Tumors like that can explode and do that. I mean, it's horrendous.
And I was in a hospital chapel, right? I would do that once a month. And I felt the tumor activate. I felt my heart pound. I felt the sweat. And I had tried every time during the smaller explosions to get that under control, to breathe deep, to lean into it, to try and, override the sympathetic nervous system to get control back. But this time it was too big and I collapsed. Now, I like to joke that I put a lot of people unconscious on Sunday mornings, but it's no good when the minister collapses. And of course, that's pretty scary for the patients and families and everyone in the service. And they're like, what on earth happened? I just went down.
I want to jump in here just for a moment. I'm not being cruel, but that's God's sense of humor to make this man collapse in front of the families and patients in that chapel in a hospital. And I'm not being mean here, but what a sick, twisted sense of humor that, quote, God has. If you want to look at it that way. I know some people are not ready to look at it that way yet because they want to protect and defend that Creator. Okay? I don't know if you're new here, but if you're not new, you realize I'm not down on my knees worshiping a fucking monster that created the sickness and the evil and the suffering by design in this realm. I can't say on YouTube what I want to do to that thing that people call, quote, God. Because it's a monster.
Suddenly, I found myself in a different realm. Now, I didn't have a tunnel experience. I didn't see that light and go to it, as is common with NDEs. But I did find myself in another place that was utterly ordinary in how I describe it, but extraordinary in how I experienced it. I was on a grassy hill. I could feel every blade of grass as it moved. I could feel the light pouring into me and through me. The light was emanating from everything. It was astonishingly more real than this reality. I felt incredibly congruent and whole and authentic. There wasn't any aspect of myself that I was suppressing. There was nothing in the subconscious. There was no split between that and the ego. I was whole and complete. I was fully present.
I just have to jump in here for a second. I believe what he's saying that he experienced is he's being truthful about it. And I also want to say that this realm is false. It's fake. And I know this to be true. You don't have to believe me, okay? You don't have to. But I'm going to say what I see what I know, and I do believe that this place is going to feel like a weird dream once we're outside of it, that you will feel more real out of your body and just as a spirit, as your essence, and you'll feel more authentic, more real, more whole. This will look so fake looking back on this fucking place. But I want to add this to it. Okay? He's back here again. Oh, yeah, he's back here again. Right? So he felt so wonderful, so whole, so authentic. It seemed more real there, which it was. But what's their goal is to get you back here into a body and keep you in this fucking realm of suffering forever if they can. Not just send you back with NDEs, but also into new bodies. Mind wiped and then in a new body and a new body. Reincarnation is real. There's a lot of evidence. Some people are shaking their heads saying, no, it's not. Well, you didn't research it yet. You might want to do the research first. All right? Because once you do the research, and there are universities that have been doing decades worth of research. It's not just, you can't just write it off as, oh, that's woo-woo or that's kooky or all this. It's conspiracy theory. People put labels on stuff before they even look into it. Just like there's people that label me before they've even been on my channel. Oh, I heard about you. You have a reputation. That's fantastic. Why don't you actually watch the videos and listen and see what I think and see if I'm making sense. See if I'm sharing some truth. In other words, don't come here with prejudice. Prejudice, prejudgment. You're prejudging me before you know me. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It actually harms you. Because usually those people don't last here very long. They get very insulting, they get very rude, they attack on behalf of the ones that brainwash them on other channels to believe that this guy's the devil incarnate, he's evil incarnate, all this stuff. That's what some people come to my channel believing. They've been so brainwashed on these other channels that that's what they think. And they think it's all one-sided. Oh, you just attacked this channel. Well, do you realize these people have threatened violence against me? They've gone above and beyond just a YouTube skirmish or difference of opinion or different views on YouTube. They've gone far beyond that. Do you realize that, you people that are defending these? You've heard one side of the story. You come to my channel. They've made threats. They've made threats to use smear campaigns against me. I'm not crying about it. I've shown you that I'll take them all on. Okay. And then they report me to YouTube and stuff like that. They can't take anything. But there's lots coming for them, okay? Especially once I'm out of my body. I've said it lots of times. It's not an idle threat or an empty threat. I am going to seal them in here. And I will do any amount of work that it takes to do that. So anybody that's seen, how does this guy make hundreds of videos in just a matter of months? And you wouldn't believe the amount of dedication and work I can put into something and focus when I'm really focused on wanting to achieve something that I feel is important and matters, and I'm passionate about it, and I have an intensity for doing that. I am going to seal these demons in here so that they can never get out. If it's the last thing I do. If it takes me an eternity to do it. I do realize how that sounds to the average person. I am aware that the average person would immediately say, well, that's extreme. This guy is nuts. This guy's crazy. That he would say that. He would spend his eternity doing that. That's how against evil and demons I am. So I realize there's people that hate evil. They're against evil. But you might say I might be on a different level, okay? I have seen way too much in this realm. I've seen way too much demons running wild, doing harm. I've looked at it. I've looked at suffering on all sorts of levels. The abuse of children, the diseases. I've studied all this stuff to the point where I had to push through it, where it was literally making me sick to see what this place is and see what it's done and what's really going on here and what's really part of the design here. And that demons are rewarded for doing their evil. They're literally rewarded. Okay? This has to end here. I can't allow this to spread and to ruin the rest. Just like if I could stop an innocent baby from being harmed, I would do that. And it's like demons want to infect and destroy and degrade the innocence. That's what they want. Whether it's babies or a realm, they would love to get out of here to infect whatever pure realm they could get into and destroy it. That's what these nasty demons want to do. And I just can't allow that. And I'm gonna be fucking hunting them when I'm out of here. Hunting them down. Demon slaying. That's what I'm gonna do. Because what they have done here in this realm, it's not just beyond words. I mean, if somebody came from a pure place, this would just be unfathomable here. It's just, it's sickness and evil on a level that is just, it's beyond description. There are no words in any language for this, for what happens here. This realm is full of demons, more than most people would ever see or admit to. They don't want to look at it. The average person does not want to look at this stuff. They don't want to believe that it could be true. They don't want to look at the possibility. They just want to dismiss it and say, no way. Well, the demons are getting more obvious and they're coming out. And I told you, I'm going to make the demons come right out of the YouTubers where you're going to see them hissing. You're going to see their tongues coming out. You're going to see all sorts of weird shit right on video. I'm going to put the pressure on them. I'm going to put the heat on them. I said it at the beginning of my channel. I've said it multiple times. I'm not boasting. I'm just saying I'm a man of my word. When I said I was going to do that, I wasn't kidding about it. Right? This is a realm of demons. There is no good, quote, God or creator or benevolent, all-loving father or mother. You notice they always see a father, though, in NDEs? I don't think I've seen one yet where it's like the, quote, God is a mother or a woman. I mean, I'm leaving it open. I haven't watched every NDE video that exists. I've watched hundreds and hundreds. It must be close to 500 by now, at least. Maybe more. But I haven't seen that yet. That's kind of interesting. The whole point of this is not to just look at these NDEs and say, oh, life goes on after death. That's basic. That's bottom of the pyramid. That is first grade level. I'm trying to get people to see it way beyond that. Okay? Because that's not going to help you whatsoever. That's really basic. I don't want you to be overjoyed when you kick the bucket and you leave your body and be overjoyed that you're living on and get all excited, because that leaves you in a very vulnerable state, vulnerable to mind control. I want you to take it as a given that, hey, when I kick the bucket, I'm leaving this body and I carry on, but I'm going to have awareness of what to do and what's coming and what is in the realm that I'm in and all this stuff. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want you to be like a warrior that's aware, that has awareness, that's lucid, that's thinking, that's using all of your tools, your intuition, your instincts, your critical consciousness rather than mind. It is basically the mind, though. The mind is not the brain. You don't need a brain made of meat, flesh, fat, cholesterol to think. Okay? But I don't want you to be so shocked or so overjoyed that, hey, I carry on. I don't want that. I want you to take that as a given that that's going to happen and be prepared. That's what I want. Because I want to help you as much as I can while I'm in this realm, so that when I pass on, I'll know that, hey, these people that I cared about, they're good to go. You know, when their time comes, they're ready. They're ready to get out. And I want to know by the time that I passed on that I've helped thousands. That's my goal. That was my goal from the beginning. I said, I don't know if I'll ever be able to help millions or reach millions with some of these messages, but I do hope to help thousands. And that's why I'm pouring my heart into it, my energy, all my effort, taking time off my work. I'm doing all I can because this is my last ditch effort. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in this realm because I can't stand it to begin with. I hate it here. I see what it is. Yes, I can see the beauty. I can see the beauty walking through a forest and all that kind of stuff. I can see the beauty in artwork when I look at the artwork that people create, when I listen to them playing piano and making music, stuff like that. People send me videos and they're just beautiful. And I appreciate it. I appreciate beauty. I appreciate talent. I appreciate the creativity of your spirits. I really do. But this realm is corrupt. This realm is designed to create suffering. And I'm not a complainer. I'm not sitting around saying, hey, I'm suffering every day. I mean, I am, but I'm not complaining about it all the time. You see what I'm saying? I try to deal with it. I know that this is temporary here. I know that people have it worse than me. They suffer worse. They're in pain, chronic pain every day. I do know what it's like to have been in pain every day for months or years, though, for certain things. So I can relate to you at least a little bit on that level. But it's horrible. I wish I could heal these people. Right here on my channel, there's people that have chronic pain. They have certain things. They have certain illnesses. They have certain trauma. They've been through horrible things were done to them. They haven't just been through things. They've suffered because demons have harmed them. So yeah, that makes me hate this fucking place. It makes me want to end this realm. Really does. So anyway, I just don't want to go into a huge explanation, but we do more here on the Sanity Machine than just play near-death experiences and just get, start celebrating like our team won the Super Bowl and throw our arms up in the air and jump around saying, yay, there's life after death. There's so much more to it than that. That's just step one. You don't stop there. That's why we analyze these things. That's why I go into these long rambling rants about the afterlife, about this realm, about suffering, about all the different things, the creator, etc. Because they don't on these channels. They don't go into any of that. They just talk about the experience and it's just positive and, they don't analyze it. They don't question it. They're not critical. That'll get you recycled here. That's what I'm saying.
Present in the moment and fully held by that presence, which I just can only describe as love. There was a tree at the top of the hill, and I wanted to run to that. I was aching to reach that tree, and I knew if I got to that tree, I would never come back here. So right away, I knew that there was a here and there was a there, or a this and a that. I cannot describe the exuberance, the exhilaration, the joy beyond anything I've experienced. I was like a 10-year-old at Christmas morning, and I was jumping up and down ecstatic, and I just kept saying over and over, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. And it was cool.
Okay, the feeling of love, the feeling of home, as far as I'm concerned, that's false love. It's like a frequency. Okay? As for the tree here and there, the difference, I don't know. Maybe if he ran to that tree, he would get mind wiped and be born into another body. As I said, I don't know. I'm not saying that for sure. But that's a possibility. That was a setup. I just want to say this. How come there's so very few near-death experiencers that question their creator, their quote God, or come back here saying, you know what? I died and I came back, and I can explain the suffering here. I can explain why there's over 10,000 documented diseases, that have been studied and documented that affect human beings. And there's also diseases for animals too, as you've seen, your pets, your cats, your dogs, your other pets. People have all sorts of different types of pets. I can't name every type that they have. They have birds, all sorts of things, right? That get sick, that have get diseases, that can get not only cancer, but animals can get different diseases than we get. There's certain diseases that only affect, let's say, cats or dogs that we can't get. They have diseases designed for them. Imagine this, the sadistic nature of a creature or a creator that would invent that. And why do you think I get angry at that stuff? You know? I mean, pardon me, people. I'm an artist, as I've said. I'm not an accountant. I am a passionate, emotional type of being. I do have critical thinking. I do have an analytical mind. I'm actually a little slightly more analytical minded than I am creative minded. Believe it or not, I really am. I'm about somewhere, I think it was a 60-40 split. So 60% on and any type of test, no matter what type I tried, it was always the same result for that. Over the years, I've done different types of testing because I was into that. I was into, trying to understand myself better, how my mind works, how my personality works, how my emotions work, how I see this realm, all, the INFP, Myers-Briggs tests, personality type tests, all different types of tests. And just slightly more lean towards analytical than the creative, imaginative. But I do have a vast imagination. So, but I am still more critical and analytical minded. So for the people that think, well, he just paints pictures and he's not analytical. Yeah, I am analytical, slightly more so than creative. And but I do love creativity, and I love visual art, and creating visually is entirely different than, language oriented, like written word, poetry, stuff like that. It's completely different. And I do believe that you access different parts of your mind that way. Develop, not just access, you develop it. And yeah, it's just pretty cool. I love I love learning. I love using my mind in different ways. So anyway, carry on here.
Tree, the branches seemed to be drinking in the light. It seemed I could feel how it was rooted into the earth, and there was an adventure to be had. I was just revving to go for it. But
Sorry for breaking in so quick. I'll make this short. He said about the tree going right into the earth. Well, if you're not on Earth, you're out of your body. What are you talking about, dude? Again, no offense. I'm not insulting him. I'm just trying to be honest, and the way that my approach is to be honest, and I tend to be blunt and have candor about things. And what are you talking about? Earth. You're not on Earth anymore. So why would the tree be putting its roots reaching into Earth? Get what I'm saying? Why is it material? There's no earth. Why would there be soil or earth at all? You're not in a material realm, right? You're not supposed to be. So where were you? That's what I'm asking him. It's not that I don't believe him, so don't get it wrong, people that are listening to this and thinking, well, hey, you don't believe him? Are you saying he's lying? No, not saying he's lying. I'm just saying he might want to think about what he experienced and say to himself, well, why would there be earth if it's a spiritual realm?
I couldn't. There was someone there. Now it was a masculine figure, entity. If you were to ask me what he looked like, I actually couldn't tell you. It didn't seem important at the time to look.
Want to say this just for a second? That entity stopped him from going to that tree, so there is a possibility that that tree was almost like a, quote, exit door. Not quite, but whatever entity is preventing you from going towards something like that, I would not trust the entity, if you get what I'm saying. That's my mindset, to be wary of whatever entity shows up, whatever it looks like, whatever it feels like in the, quote, afterlife. Want to call it the astral realm. even if you wanted to call it heaven, I think that's completely false. It's a false heaven. I don't think that's where you go right away when you leave here, let's say, if you get what I'm saying. But if that's my approach, I'm not going to trust whatever entities show up, whether it's one or whether it's a legion of them.
Look at him and get a description. He felt like my best friend. He felt like someone I've known all my life and who knew me to the bone, right, to the core. And we had this remarkably casual conversation. I said, I'm home. And he said, yeah, it's great to see you, David. Right? And I could feel this warmth from him. And I said, come on, let's run to the tree. Like I was a little boy with my best friend. And he said, you can't go up there. Let's just talk. And so we walked. And when I say walked, I felt ground beneath my feet. I felt my form, which was human. I felt very much me, but more me than I've ever felt here. And we talked about my life. I don't remember much of the details of that conversation, but I remember the key points, which were, it's great to see you. You're doing well. Things are going fine, but you have a lot of work to do and you can't stay here. So you have to go back.
This is so common, okay? This is so common. And I wish David and I wish other near-death experiencers, ones that are on videos like this, and ones that maybe haven't done interviews or done videos, that have had an NDE, but they haven't made this public on YouTube anywhere, would study this and say to themselves, and study other NDEs and study videos like mine, which analyze them, which question this stuff. That's why it's important to question, to analyze and to question, and to say to yourself, how come thousands, if not millions of us are being told we have to go back? You didn't do good enough. You have more to do. You know, you have more to learn. You're in this beautiful place. It's peaceful. You feel like home, and you're sent to this hell. Please try to make that add up. You can't make it add up. So look at it and say to yourself, why is this happening to millions of us? There's millions of near-death experiencers just in the United States that are alive. It's over 1 million. I think it's a few million. I can't remember exactly, but it's a big number. And it's definitely a big number worldwide of near-death experiencers. Okay? And what they have in common is they're all back here in this hell realm, and almost all of them were sent back here by a quote God, or a quote angel, or a quote spirit guide, or something that they believed was good. But look at the outcome. Look at the result. Look where you are. And look at this realm. You got to study this realm too, beyond your life. Okay? I'm not saying this guy hasn't gone through things with this rare type of cancer that's like the ticking time bomb and all the shit he's gone through. I'm not putting him down, but there's children that suffer more than that every day. They're born deformed, they're struggling, they're suffering horrendous from birth. They didn't have a life here. So when they go to quote heaven, they could be told you didn't do good enough. That's the pattern. It's not what I'm saying. It's you can, if you study 2, 3, 500 NDEs, you're going to notice this pattern. It didn't take me that many to notice it, but I don't know what's wrong with some of these people in these comments down here on his channel, not just 2 years ago, but currently. There's always so many comments. 614 comments on this particular video. There's hundreds and hundreds of comments, and they watch all these NDEs and they don't seem to notice the pattern that you got to go back and you didn't do good enough. They don't question that. So if you're watching things without questioning, and I don't know what it is, but some people want that. There's always some that'll say on my video, why do you interrupt? Why don't you just play the NDE? Because if you want to do that, you can go to Jeff Mara podcast channel and just play this straight through. But if you just want to do that and watch NDEs and feel good, it's going to put you right into the recycling bin. That's it. That's what it's going to achieve. Because they don't question things. and they don't look at the pattern. So it felt like his best friend, this creature, this entity that showed up that he was talking to and telling him about his life. And yet it's sending you back here. Would your best friend send you back to this hell realm? I want everybody listening to think about that. Think about the best friend you ever had in your life. Even if you have no friends right now, let's say you're alone or you had a best friend growing up, would they send you back here? If you had a best friend when you were 6 years old or 10 years old, okay? If you're honest with yourself, you know they wouldn't do that. I'm not your best friend. I'm trying to help people on my channel, but I wouldn't send you back here, and we're not best friends. I wouldn't send you back here. If they were threatening me or saying, we're going to torture the shit out of you, Stephen, if you don't send, if it's up to you, though, you have to send them back. And they're putting it on me. I would say, fuck you. Not kidding about that. I've been through some torture, what people would call torture, here in this realm. I'm not saying I've suffered the most. I'm sure there's people that have suffered more than I have. But I've seen a lot of suffering too. Seen a lot of horrible things here. Heard people tend to open up to me. Sometimes people that have only known me for a week, and they open up about deep, deep things. Painful things, trauma, suffering, all like stuff that's really horrible. I've heard a lot in my lifetime and seen a lot and felt a lot. A lot of that has gone into me. If you see what I'm saying. If you have empathy, you'll know what I'm talking about. You can feel it when somebody is suffering. You can just be around them and feel it, the energy. You know? It's hard to be here in this realm. It really is. But my point being is, I'm not going to name any of my subscribers, but there's some people here that I really just connect to and feel for. And if something like that were the case, and they said, hey, you got to send your friend back here, but it's up to you, but we're going to try to do this to make you agree to it, I would say, fuck you, demons. You can bring it on to me, but I'm not sending somebody back there that doesn't deserve it. I'm not doing the wrong thing. I'm going to do what's right. And what's right is disagreeing and fighting you, demons. That's the right thing to do. No matter what pain they would try to put me through. Look at this man's face. When he's remembering being told that. Do you understand? Look at his emotion. This is me trying to really break through to people, especially the new people here that have not really analyzed near-death experiences. He's not only dejected, he's basically heartbroken because this creature that felt like his best friend, you know, naively, of course, I'm not putting him down, but he just took that for granted that the first entity that showed up in the afterlife, okay, this is, quote, God, feels like my best friend, feels like home, feels like love here, took it all for granted. It's telling him, you know, you got to go back there. They don't want to come back. What loving, quote, God would send anyone here to this fucking hell realm? And don't give me the excuse of, oh, well, Lucifer made it a hell realm. Really? That's a good cop, bad cop bullshit. What created Lucifer? Your, quote, God, okay? So it's just circular logic. It's bullshit. Doesn't add up whatsoever. It's just your, quote, God being a coward and hiding behind that. That's what it is.
I rejected that, as so many people who have an NDE do. I said, no, I'm not going back there. Why would I go back? I'm home. I'm finally here. This is what I've been longing for. And he said, yeah, but you have more to do. You're not ready to be here. And I'm like, I'm brushing that off. Come on, let's go to...
I'm going to jump in just for one moment. It reminds me of an NDE that I covered, that I analyzed. You can search. You can click on my videos and type in the search NDE, and there's a bunch that will come up. And it's a woman that was told that she didn't do good enough. She had to come back here to do better. You could tell that she was a kind, gentle, good-hearted woman that had helped people that were suffering. She went to hospitals to visit them, spent hours of her own time. It does get me emotional. It really does bother me, because they're sending these good spirits back here and having them blame themselves and believe that they had more to do, they didn't do good enough. And this man reminds me, he's like the male version of her. You can tell this guy is kind and gentle just by I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying this man has never said a bad word to someone or hurt anyone, or whatever. We're not perfect. He's not perfect. I'm not perfect. Okay? But you can just tell. Look at him. Look at his emotion. Look at his face. Listen to his voice. Go by all the signs. He doesn't deserve this hell. And neither did that woman. So this is that's who he reminds me of. I believe she was in San Francisco or Bay Area, somewhere, California. She was the one that was into running. I believe her name was Mary. Mary's NDE. And her husband was saying, you have to make a decision. They didn't know if she'd ever be able to run again if they did this procedure, and that was her passion. It's just all this heartbreaking shit. Okay? And it's sickening. It's disturbing. It gets you emotional. It gets me worked up. It does get to me covering this stuff. There's demons that will mock me for what I'm doing right now, for making these videos, for getting emotional, for every little thing. They'll watch. They'll just lurk, and that angry Gingy is one of them. Okay, the one that hisses and his tongue flicks out all the time, and he actually hisses on video. And anyway, if you're watching Angry Gingy, I want you to know this. I see what you are. Okay? If I were you, I would work on getting an exorcism or do something to get rid of the demons that you have. Either you are a demon or you have demons. You're possessed by demons or creatures or something, or maybe that's what you are. But if you're a demon, you can look forward to me sealing you in here. And I'm dead serious about that. That's why they're getting afraid. These demons on YouTube. They know I'm not joking. I'm not trolling. That's as sincere as I can be. That is my plan, to seal the demons in here. I don't care if I'm believed or not. There's people that say, well, why you? Why would you think you can do it? I am determined to do that no matter what it fucking takes. They've done so much harm. And I feel for this man. He reminds me of, I believe Mary's NDE. I've made hundreds of videos, and it's hard to remember the titles of all of them. But she's, this kind-looking, gentle woman that's kind of soft-spoken. And she just looked like she was crushed when she was told that she didn't do good enough. She had to come back here to this fucking hell. And this is what it reminds me of. Look at his eyes. Okay? He didn't want to come back here. Millions didn't want to come back here. So yeah, that's why it bothers me. That's why it bothers me. Because I know damn well that this guy, David, doesn't deserve this. He's not bad. He's not here to be punished. He doesn't deserve whatever happens to him here in this fucking realm. He should have been allowed to just be free. But the problem is that he believed that fucking entity. And you got to know that, hey, you might have to fight for your freedom. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm making these videos. That's why I'm trying to expose this. It's a huge deception. The afterlife is a huge deception. Do I believe we're trapped here forever? No, I don't. For those people that say that in my comments. No, I don't. Because there's every indication that they would use, they wouldn't have to use these tricks, lies, deceptions to keep us here if this was a lock and there was no way out. Okay? Guards wouldn't have to trick us this way. Guards don't trick the inmates in prison. They just lock the fucking doors. And if it's a prison max, whatever level, the highest level, the guards aren't saying, you know what, it relies on us deceiving them and tricking them to keep... They don't have that mindset whatsoever. They have the mindset that we have walls and bars and we have security, and that's what locks them in and keeps them from getting free from here. Doesn't rely on trickery. So that's a huge indication that yes, it isn't hopeless. We can get out of here.
The tree. And then I felt this seriousness, this intent that was nonetheless filled with compassion and love. Kind of an endearing affection you would have for a kid who doesn't want to go to bed. That's what I felt from him. And he just...
Sorry to break in this quickly again, I really am. But he's comparing himself to a kid, and he's viewing that creature as an authority figure, as a father, and he's not wanting to be put to bed. That's a huge mistake. It's not me being mean or cruel. This man made a mistake, okay? I'm not attacking him and all the things that I always get in the comments. I'm not attacking him. I'm trying to get you to understand. Please don't have that mindset. Change that mindset here while you're in this body, in this realm. Get rid of that mindset. It's important. It's very, very important. Please get rid of that mindset for your own good. For your own good. What do I mean by that? Don't view anyone in this realm as a higher authority, a higher authority spiritually than you are. Anyone, including me, including your favorite YouTubers on other channels, whoever, your favorite authors, your favorite spiritual, whether they're spiritual leaders, teachers, whatever the case may be. Don't do that. That's a trap. Don't do that. And don't do that thinking about the afterlife, like viewing any entity as higher than you spiritually, okay? Or as an authority over you. Nothing is. Repeat that, and it's not because I think you're slow or that you don't understand. I just want to drive that home as much as I can. Nothing is higher than you. Nothing is an authority over you spiritually, over your spirit. I'm not saying to commit crimes. I'm not saying to do wrong or feel that you can do anything or hurt. No, I'm not saying that at all. So don't get it twisted that way either. Please try to be good to each other, to others. Try to help each other. Try not to do harm. Do you have a right to self-defense? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I totally support that. If someone attacks you, you have a right to defend yourself. That's where people get hung up too. The demons will say, well, this guy pretends to be just good and he attacks us. Yeah, you're demons. You've attacked me first. I'm responding. So don't hit me or stab me and expect nothing back and then say, well, see, he's not good because he's coming after us. I am coming after you. You came over here to my channel. You said shit. You attacked me. You attacked my videos. You slandered me. You slandered my videos. You called my videos me. You called me or my video pathetic. You did this. You did that. You said I'm full of hate. You did all these types of things to initiate this. Don't cry victim when I come back after you, demons. That's how it works. Anyway, in terms of authority, nothing is higher than you spiritually. Absolutely nothing. Not me, not anyone on earth. And the reason I'm saying me, not me, is because some people will say, well, you've taught me some things or this or that. That's great. I'm glad that I've been able to help you with that, but I am not an authority. I'm not higher than you spiritually. Right? If there is anything that you're going to encounter or may possibly encounter beyond this realm, this physical illusion. It's an illusion of being physical, but it seems like a material realm. Okay? Does that mean it's a complete illusion like a video game? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. Some people go too far with that simulation type thing. I view it more as an organic matrix. Okay? Where it's not anyway, that's way I'm not going to go way off topic there because I'll be talking for an hour just on that and go right off track of the near death experience, but that was his mistake there. We all make mistakes. But that's a costly one, and that's one that you can learn from and say to yourself, I'm not going to make that same mistake. Excuse me. Nothing is higher spiritually than you are. Nothing is higher spiritually than I am. And I wish I could break through to David. Nothing is higher spiritually than you are. You're not a child. And that wasn't a father figure. That wasn't a, quote, God. That was a deceiver. That's what that was. That was a creature, a creepy creature. If you could see its true face, you would see what I mean. Just like shapeshifters in, Star Trek or a sci-fi movie. Didn't see the true face.
Emphasized, you have work to do. We will be with you. And nonetheless filled with compassion and love, kind of an endearing affection you would have for a kid who doesn't want to go to bed. That's what I felt from him. And he just emphasized, you have work to do. We will be with you. And I felt my heart sink, right? As if that's possible there, but it is. And I knew I wasn't going to win the argument. And I said, please don't send me back. You can't send me back. And then he put his hand on my shoulder and he poured this love and understanding into me.
See how they do it? His heart sank. He was begging, please don't send me back. He viewed it as an authority figure. All of it is right here, showing you how they do things. And its influence and the love, the false love, is just mind control and brainwashing. I feel really sorry for this man. He was begging not to come back here. So sick and so sadistic, this system. It's so fucking sick, man.
And he smiled and he said, it's going to be okay. We'll be with you. We'll see you later. Boom, I'm back.
Or I have to pause again because I forgot to mention, you have work to do. I have to cover that. What work are they talking about that you would have to do here? What work? That makes no sense. Not faulting this man. I'm speaking in general here. No matter who that's said to, and it's been said millions of times to near-death experiencers, that you have work to do there. This place is set up to cause suffering. There's no work to be done here, really, if you think about it. I'm talking about spiritually or otherwise. There's no work to be done here. I know there's people clinging to the hope that if we work hard enough, we can fix this place. It's designed to be fucking evil. It's designed to be full of disease and suffering. It's rigged. It's like a rigged casino for evil to win. Think of a casino, the roulette wheel. Every time the evil spins and bets on whatever and they say 11 black, they win. And a good spirit, you're not going to win here. You're not going to... The better you are, the more you're punished here. You're just punished. You're just hammered for being good. Hammered. I'm not kidding about this. I'm not kidding about this. Some of us really see it. I know I'm not the only one. I know there's people that have left comments on other videos before this video saying they see it too. That you do get hammered. You get punished here for being good, for doing good. Not just being good, for doing good, for trying to help others too, for doing good things. You get punished. It's designed that way, this realm. And others see it. And I know what they're talking about. I understand. And I'm going to keep trying to do good. No matter what this fucking matrix throws at me, they can punish me every fucking day. Fuck them. I'm not giving them permission. I'm saying fuck them. I know what they're doing anyways, regardless of my words. I can say, you can't punish me, you can't hurt me. I can say that, and I could say it and try to make myself believe it or use conviction. But regardless, this place is designed to punish those that do a lot of good or that attempt to do good, that make the attempt, that make the effort to help others or make an attempt to make a difference somehow or spread the truth or whatever you're trying to do that is good. This evil realm actually punishes you for it. That's the way it's set up. So the realm, the way it works is different. It's not the same for all of us. It's not, the reality doesn't behave the same way for all. It doesn't work that way. Just doesn't. There's people that could probably study, law of attraction and all this stuff and visualize, and it would work for them. They would have good success. And then there's others that it's going to punish you. It's not going to work. You could do whatever you want to try to get this or that to work for you, or it's going to make you struggle. It's going to make you suffer. It's going to send abusers. It's going to send demons. It's going to make you all of a sudden, oh fuck, now I have another disease, or I have another huge health problem, huge ailment, as movies Maddie presentation Humpty Dumpty boy always says, the ailments. I notice that's one of his words, but I pick up on stuff like that, his presentations. But anyway, they're going to hammer you. And I already know I'm one of them, that they're going to keep hammering as long as I'm in this realm. And I've said to them, fucking bring it on. You're not going to stop me, no matter what you throw at me, no matter what you do. No matter what you do. So yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've done a lot of things to me already, and I know I might seem crazy because I'm basically almost just laughing it off, like laughing about it. But I see what's going on. I see what's causing it. And once sorry about that, I bumped into my microphone with my hand for a second. Once you see what's going on, it's just like, now I understand. Now I see the enemy, so I'm just laughing at him.
Which is the most miserable part of a near-death experience. It's the return to this flesh and bone, this muck, the pull of gravity. I felt it immediately, the density of flesh, the poverty of my words and thoughts, the way they must run in a linear fashion.
Sorry to break in here, but why would this be created by your quote God to begin with then? This realm that you didn't want to come back to. What's the point of this? What's the point of all of this? Don't use the religious bullshit explanation that came from your deceiver God. Think about it. What is the point of this place? Why does it exist at all? Forget the gravity stuff. That gravity's bullshit. There's something else going on. Whether it's spiritual, supernatural, whether it's electromagnetic, there's something else. But the whole gravity, Newton's apple falling and, all the gravitons and pulled to the core of the earth, it's all bullshit. The earth would be way bigger than the moon, and if the moon was a, quote, terra firma thing you could walk on, it would have been pulled into the earth if gravity's that fucking strong. It's strong when they want it to be. It's weak when they want it to be. It's a force that, holds everything in place. It does 20 different things, magical things. It's the most magical fucking force ever. It's not science whatsoever. Whole theory, and it's still a theory, by the way. It's called the theory of gravity. They've never been able to prove it, and it's impossible. It just does everything that they want it to do. They just say, well, gravity. Keeps us spinning, It makes things spin. It pulls things in. It just does all sorts of different things. One size or one one force does 20 different things for whatever they need it to do. But the density of the body and all that stuff, the heaviness, yeah. What's the point of all this? Why does this exist? Why does the quote God that you worship, why would it create this place and send you here? But why does it exist to begin with? Why put us through all this?
And are grossly inadequate to express what you're trying to communicate. There, the communication was instant and consciousness to consciousness, and yet it wasn't all at once. It still had a linear feel to it. But here, it is communication is abysmal, and when you move from this state of consciousness to one so expansive, and then you're compressed back into this one, it kind of messes you up.
Okay, so communication is linear, limited, and abysmal, as he put it here. So what's the point of all this? What's the point of putting you in this realm of extreme limitations, not to mention extreme suffering and extreme stupidity, and ruled by evil? Why don't NDEers, near-death experiencers, come back here and say, yeah, well, this place is ruled by evil. And I asked, quote, God about that, why he allows the pyramid of evil to rule this place. The creatures to rule this place. They're not just humans, okay? Rothschilds and creatures like that, they're in contact with entities outside of this earth realm. And they have been for centuries. So have the royals. Look up John Dee, the original 007 of the Queen. He wasn't just a spy. He was scrying using a black mirror, and he was, opening portals and in communication with entities, with demons, with entities beyond this realm. That's what they've been doing. Look at the black eyes of Biden and black eyes of other famous ones on the world stage. They have entities within them. That's why they have such darkness.
It leaves you grieving and homesick for what you saw. The doctor rolled me on my back, right? I was in a hospital, so a doctor and a nurse were right there. Apparently my heart had stopped and I was gone for 15 minutes. I heard their voices coming.
I believe him when he says he was gone for 15 minutes. Atheists that are completely mind-controlled by their own cult of atheism and cult of scientism would just say, well, it's a hallucination. But he was gone, there's been cases of people clinically dead for 15, 20 minutes or longer. Sometimes ones that were hooked up where there was no brain activity, where they were already connected to a machine and they could see their brain was not operating, yet they had these experiences completely out of body and they could see other places in the hospital. There's lots that prove the atheist hallucination bullshit theory completely false and ludicrous and laughable. Hallucinations don't work that way. They're not that complex, and they're not like that. They're not like that.
Like out of a fog, as you adapt to the embodied form once again. And I heard them say, David, are you all right? And I opened my eyes and I apologized, right? So quickly I'm back in my ego identity, and I said, I'm sorry. I scared everyone. I'm sorry I passed out. Because I had passed out many times from the tomb.
See how good that man is? See that? That is him being sincere. And there are people like this in Canada and in the United States too. It's not just, Canadians are so good. That's the thing that really bothers me about Canadians, hyping themselves up as we're so good, we're so nice. Canadians have this habit of saying that Americans are bad or Americans are just rude and loud, and Canadians are nice and polite and say sorry for it. I do have a habit, I gotta admit, of saying sorry a lot and Sometimes I say it angrily, but I'll be like, I'm sorry, but, you know. But anyway, anyway, this guy does come across as a good spirit. I wish him all the best. I hope he breaks free from the mind control. And I hope he watches this video, and I hope he studies near-death experiences and realizes that nothing good, no good creator would create this realm and send good spirits here to suffer. There's no work to be done here. It doesn't add up. Religions don't add up. It's not just his. Again, I'm not picking on him. No religions add up. No religions add up.
Never during a church service. And they took my vitals, they wrapped me in a blanket, they didn't see a concussion, the heart was working fine, and they just chalked it up to a young seminary student, a young student minister having an anxiety attack. They wrapped me in a blanket, got my blood sugar, up with a bit of orange juice, and they sent me home, where I crawled into bed and I grieved for a long time. I didn't tell anyone. You'd think I would.
See that? He grieved. This is important. It really is important that you get this. That somebody this gentle, this good, I mean, just think about it for yourself. Think about what he was grieving and think about how he doesn't want to be here. He didn't want to come back here. I completely understand that.
You think I'd get up in the pulpit the next Sunday and say, I stepped on the porch of heaven, right? Mm-hmm. You don't know what to do with this. You immediately begin to wonder, was it real? It feels like a dream, but it doesn't. That's the only correlation you have, right? But it's so real and you can't shake it. I didn't tell anyone for years. It takes many years to integrate these sort of things unless you have good professional support. I feel like that was back in 1988, right? I feel like I am doing the homework, right? I was 27 years old. Now I'm 57, 30 years ago. And the road I've been on ever since has been interesting and bumbling along, but leading to some profoundly beautiful and meaningful work. And I'm grateful now as I look back that they...
That's what happens, though. That's what happens. People adjust. People learn to accept. That's what happens with people that a lot of times that are wrongfully imprisoned. They adapt to being in a prison, and they're not guilty. They didn't harm anyone. They're innocent. That's what happens to Stockholm Syndrome. I call them Stockholm Syndrome slaves rather than hostages, because they're mentally enslaved. I'm sorry to say this, I really am, but that's what happens. They end up making up excuses for their captors and their abusers and defending and saying it's all okay, it's all good, you know? Or even, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. Beautiful here, but it's a realm of suffering.
He sent me back here to Earth, and I look forward to when I go home one day.
I have so many questions to ask. I'm not even sure where to start.
I gotta jump in here. Jeff still was creepy 2 years ago, but I think he's gotten worse. I had to say it. I'm not just saying it to be mean. I don't trust this character. If you've seen some of his recent videos, his recent NDEs, some of them are so sketchy, man. Beyond, like Jerry Springer style. And, he even interviewed, and it's not just Blueberry Boy Howdy or the Grapist from Archaics, or there's the Galactic Ambassador, Single Mother, and there's this other guy that just seems like a complete Freemason agent. I mean, it's just unbelievable. The ones that he's done in the last so many months have just been over the top over the top. So, hey, if you trust this guy, be wary. Be wary.
Let's first start with this, though. I want to kind of clear it up for myself a little bit about your cancer. It's triggered by emotional states and through your adrenal gland, but it sounds like when it does actually surface, it can surface anywhere in your body.
Yeah. My first was in the dome of my bladder when I was 17. Then it showed up in my femoral artery at 27. Then in the ureter that goes down from my right kidney into my bladder. And then the fourth one was in my lymph nodes, sort of in my gut.
Yeah, what a sense of humor, quote, God has, huh? To do that. To invent something that could do that to this man and to others. Come up with that. Because think about it, something had to invent that type of cancer that can do what he just described. Sick. It's totally sick. Sadistic sense of, quote, humor.
It can appear in the heart. The tumors can grow in the brain. The vast majority of these grow on the adrenal glands because it's a type of it's a type of cancer that arises from the endocrine system, and those cells grow out of control. So most people.
I don't want to go into, like, it's hard to go, especially people that have lost, ones of us that have lost people to cancer, various forms of cancer, or the treatments, or both, as the case may be, because it is different. There's different situations, but it's hard to listen to that and to think that he first got that at 17 years old. What kind of monster created that? You know? It's just disgusting. I'm going to end this video soon. Maybe I'll jump ahead and try to skip ahead over some of that and see.
We are with you. Who do you think we are?
Good question. We is in the Christian church we call it the company of saints, or the heavenly hosts, right? We is the spiritual beings that are part of the spectrum of consciousness, right? I think that there are many entities beyond the physical realm and plane, and I think we are guided by them. In the church, we talk about, the saints and the angels, but that's a very reduced language to try to express such a complex manifestation of life and consciousness that we don't have the vocabulary to fully contain it. So I think, for lack of better words, I have a team of angels or spiritual guides that nudge me and are with me, and thankfully have a good sense of humor about me, and are patient with me when I just don't want to listen, or I'm caught up in my ego, or I'm bumbling along, right? Infinitely patient. Whoever they are, they're very good at what they do. I think they can take any mess that we create or get into, and they can use it for the advancement of our evolution into love. So him and his team.
I just want to say I don't believe that they do that at all. I don't believe that they really, truly help us or advance us at all. That's what I'm saying. No matter if you want to call them angels, spirit guides, demons, entities, Elohim, whatever you want to call them. We.
Are beings I'm going to meet again, and I'll get to know them on the other side. For now, we talk informally, every day. And I have cool things that happen, and I appreciate their guidance like you wouldn't believe.
You said that when you were back in your body, your ego kicked in again. When you were there, did you feel like you were still David, or was David just this guy I played at one time, but I'm so much more than that?
I don't like hearing Jeff's voice, and I don't like looking at him. It's hard to even get through a few minutes of that.
There, I was more David, more me than I've ever been here. So I had identity. Now, that's not the same as having ego.
Oh, okay.
Right? I understand ego as a part of the identity experiment, the dimension of identity we wear in this realm to experience, right? The ego is a surface level of who I think I am, but the bulk of who I am lies beneath the surface. So
I don't know if you have headphones on, but you can just hear Jeff going, It's just constant, It's just like, fuck, dude, can you just keep your mouth shut? You know, just listen quietly.
So that's why I use the words, I was integrated, congruent, and authentic. Here, I am fractured. I am quite a bit of a mess. I am all over the place. I am not fully present. Even in my meditative practice, I'm only sporadically present for maybe 5 seconds, and then
So this is pretty awesome and pretty important, what he said about identity, and I fully agree that we have our own identity here and beyond here. That I am me. Doesn't matter if my name's Stephen, but what I am and who I am is me. I am not one. I'm not everyone. I'm not the same. I don't lose my identity. I don't lose my independence, my individuality when I'm out of this body. I am me. And we have massive proof of that with NDEs. There's not only his NDE and what he said about identity and how he's even more authentic and integrated who he is, outside of here, but we have massive, massive evidence in many, many NDEs that describe this, where you still have your identity. So that's evidence for the case of we are individuals. I am me forever. Okay? My spirit is my own. We are not all one. The oneness thing is a program. It's a script. It's propaganda. It's a deception. It's a psyop. It's a lie. And it's destructive. It's harmful. You got to get out of that. If you're in the new age, get away from that. Get out of that. It's harmful and it's wrong. It's not correct. And the evidence is on my side. What I've been saying for many, many years before I heard this guy's NDE, you could go back into the 1990s, my writing, and I was talking about, saying how oneness is bullshit. How I'm an individual. I am me. And I could see this push towards sameness and oneness and how destructive that is and how it's an agenda. It's an agenda here, and they want to do that to you outside of here, beyond here. That's why I bring it up. I'm trying to help you with that, if you don't see through that one.
Drift. Right? And I continue to trip myself up in life and become blind to many aspects of triggers in my subconscious. That's all part of the growth into love. So we try to have a sense of humor about it.
I believe a lot of people who have had NDEs who have not told anybody or have had any professional help watch this podcast. Can you give any advice to those people?
Yes. The vast majority of people who have had an NDE never have counseling or support to integrate it. So I just want to affirm that if you've had,
I want to say something before I even hear what he has to say. Be very, very careful and selective about counseling because some of them are feminists and they're man haters to begin with, including in marriage counseling. I've never been married, but I'm aware of this. I'm aware of this. They will vilify the man. And there's also ones that will, beyond the feminist agenda, there's ones that will just paint you as crazy if you open up to them about supernatural or spiritual experiences. They'll just think that you need to be medicated or put in a psych ward, or they'll start asking you leading questions or say, hey, do you feel like you're a threat to yourself or a threat to others? You know, because you opened up about personal things or about spiritual experiences, something like that. So be very careful. Be very, very careful. And a lot in counseling and psychologists and psychiatrists are very, very damaged people. They're mental themselves. And I mean pretty extreme. I don't just mean they have issues like, oh, everyone has this. I don't mean that. I mean some of them are severely mental. And that's why they chose that profession. I'm not kidding about this. I am completely serious. Be very, very careful about that stuff. Vet them. If you're going to do that, vet them very well.
this experience, which will be unique to you, you won't probably have the hill and the tree and the entity I encountered. You will have one according to your life journey and story.
So I want to break in here just for a moment. And why would that be? Why wouldn't, quote, heaven, because this is a religious guy, he's a Christian, you know, he's a Lutheran. Why wouldn't heaven be the same for everyone that goes to, quote, heaven? If heaven is a place, why wouldn't it be the same? I'll try to describe what I mean. If I went to Sydney, Australia, I've never been to Australia, but if I went to Sydney, Australia, and then I went to Paris, France, and then I came back here, and I viewed it, could I not say to a friend here in Canada, hey, I like this place, I like that place, there's this restaurant, there's this place, try this place if you go there. And then a month later, they go there. And Sydney would it look the same? Would it be the same? Would Sydney be the same place, or Paris? Or would it be so completely different? Not their experience, but the place. Would it be completely different? Would that make any sense? So why would heaven be completely different for each of us? Maybe it's a program. Maybe that's a simulation. Maybe they're using an AI system or some type of technology that we don't understand. That's just not just advanced, but we've seen nothing like it here in this earth realm. So to us, it might seem like magic, which is what advanced technology seems like to people. When it's so far beyond what we can understand, it seems magical.
Notice how you can't shake it. Notice how vivid and detailed the memory of it is, unlike a dream, which fades very quickly. Notice the energy of it. Notice the ache in your heart, the homesickness. Um, I encourage you to trust that it was real and that it is a beautiful gift and it is there to guide you, to remind you of what you truly are. If you do want to unpack it, I'm going to do a plug here. Please go to iands.org.
I don't recommend that. I don't recommend IANs, okay? But what he said about the differences between the near-death experience and the dream fading is accurate. All right? So that part is accurate. I'm trying to remember exactly what else he said there in that section.
Is a beautiful gift and it is there to guide you, to remind you of what you truly are. If you do want to
I disagree with him there. I don't think it's a beautiful gift. In fact, I think most people that experience a near-death experience, oh, he said about homesickness and, that kind of stuff, that makes sense. But when he said it's a beautiful gift, I don't think so. For the most part, a lot of people that experience a near-death experience, they get so messed up by it that they get, in a sense, more brainwashed than the average person. And it's very difficult to break through to them that, hey, what you experienced was real. It wasn't a dream. It was real, what you experienced. But at the same time, it was also a deception. You know what I'm saying? Let me explain it this way. I've never been to Manhattan, New York City. Specifically Manhattan, I'm using as an example. The famous places like the Brooklyn Bridge that leads to Manhattan, I've never walked across that bridge, taken photos and gone to Manhattan. Never been at the Statue of Liberty or up inside of her. I know that sounds so wrong, but I've never been in the Statue of Liberty, and it's not a she to begin with. It's not a female to begin with. It's a transformer anyway, and it's built by Freemasons, and I could make a whole video just on the Statue of Liberty and give details on that. It's on a star fort and everything else, but anyway, I've never been there before. But let's say next week I went there and I had all these experiences, and I went there and it's real. New York City's real, Manhattan's real. My experience was real. My trip there was real, and I went there and I experienced stuff. I ate at different restaurants and different things. Saw some tourist places. Maybe I saw a show or something, or whatever the case may be. Maybe I just had some adventures and had some fun, which is, of course, that's heresy in the quote truth community, in the soul trap community. Can't have fun. But it's real. But let's say I went there and I got tricked while I was there. Some scammer on the street tricked me. This is hypothetical, okay? I wouldn't fall for this, but they tricked me somehow. Whether it's a card game and I stopped and I put my money down, I got duped into it. Remember high school kids when I was in high school, went there on some trip. Wasn't in my class, another class, and I heard that some of these country boys got duped and lost all their money. They got scammed as teenagers. They fell for the scammers at these tables. So let's say that happened and someone else came along and put a tape in my hand and then made me pay for it, tried to guilt me into it. And I got deceived lots of different ways, let's say. Then I came back here. Well, is New York City still real? Yeah. Manhattan is still real. Was my trip still real? Did it really happen? Yes. But did I get deceived while I was there? Yes. Yes. So I was really there. I really went to New York City. I could prove it. I could show people selfies, proof. I could show them proof of purchases there. I could load up my credit card, or I show them my statement and say, look, here I was, and it's showing I bought this, and I used my credit card here at this place and here, and I was really there. I've got all this evidence to show other people, hey, I was there. I was there. I took a trip by myself. I didn't tell anyone, let's say, and I went there. I was there, and I did all this stuff. And I bought these things. I ate at these restaurants. I might have went to, let's say I went to a baseball game, a Yankees game, or a Mets game or something, right? Did all this stuff there. Ate at this famous Chinese food restaurant there. I ate at this steakhouse there, stuff like that, right? Got all this evidence. I even have receipts. I was deceived multiple times. So I was still there. I really was there, but I was deceived. And that's what I'm saying with these near-death experience people. I'm not doubting that you were there, that you had that experience, okay? I'm not calling these people liars. I'm not saying, hey, David's a liar. I'm not saying that at all. He was there, but he was deceived. And that's the point. That's a tripping point that some people kind of get hung up on. they just kind of go to the wrong assumption, saying, well, you calling him a liar? Are you saying that he's lying about all this stuff? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all.
So they couldn't conclude that this was because NDEs were real. So their conclusion said it was hallucination because it did not occur in reality. All they needed to adjust was it is an unexplainable phenomenon because it did not occur in this reality. But it's still a good study, and it got published.
I think it's fascinating the way you described it as it's something that you can't shake. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, you know, in the Christian tradition and other spiritual traditions, religious traditions, we talk about connecting to God, being filled with spirit, the peace of God. Sometimes in some traditions there's an ecstatic experience of spirit, something people call being born again. This is a universal phenomenon of when you are apprehended by spirit, by love, by God, by whatever it is, the ground of being, the great mystery, the source. That changes you. Now that's focused on the experience of it while you're still here and not in mortal danger. When you are temporarily transformed back into the ground of being, without losing your individuality, that is a rewiring of your consciousness. You can't undo that. It is going to stick with you. But because of this, a lot of people actually get messed up from it. Right? You may notice that your longing to return home can't be satisfied by anything here, but you try anyway, whether that be, chocolate or gambling or, addiction rates are actually higher. Amongst people who have a near-death experience. Divorce rates are higher because they leave relationships.
The vast majority seem to get divorced after this. So it does mess up your life, which that must prove that God's good, right? I mean, sorry, I had to make that joke, but I mean, all this trauma, addiction, broken families, all huge impact, and it's like, well, you came back here to do work, to what? Suffer more? To suffer even more than you did before your NDE? For the most part, a lot of people suffer even more when they have a near-death experience and they come back here. Their suffering is greater than it was before their NDE. Well, what a great God, right? What a great God to send them back here to suffer even more. You want to talk about sick, Anyway, I want to cover something else just for a second, add something in here. Okay, people. Okay, my people. As Jan Levi says in my parody videos, that's where my people comes from. Anyway, what I wanted to cover here as part of this video, not presentation, but video, is Elohim, Hebrew, which I don't know, I shouldn't even get into the Hebrew part, but David had spoken about how during his NDE, that entity said, we will be watching, we will be with you. He was trying to figure out the we, so his explanation was the angels and all this stuff, and saying it's beyond words, though, it's beyond angels, it's more than that. Well, Elohim in the Bible is basically describing its plural form of El, okay? So it isn't just one, right? So it's not just one, quote, God, okay? Elohim. It's multiple running this place. This matrix. It's nothing to worship. None of them should be worshipped. Nothing that's involved in creating this place that are, quote, creators of this fucking evil place designed to create suffering should be worshipped. None of them. But I just wanted to say that that's where the we comes from as far as I'm concerned. The Elohim. So that creature that was saying to him, we will be watching, we will be with you. It's literally saying it's not just me. It's not just one quote God. Okay, so I'm going to hop over here. I'm going to end this video. I've been going almost 2 hours just analyzing the first 25, 26 minutes or so of the video. Obviously, I can't just analyze the whole hour of it, or I would be talking for like 2 years at the pace that I'm going. So, not 2 years, 33 years. I'll put that in there since this video is not going to end on 33. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for thinking. Take care, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.